Coming to you live from the Business RadioX studio, it's Franchise Marketing Radio, brought to you by IDS, an award-winning digital marketing agency that delivers integrated marketing solutions for franchisors, franchisees, and franchise development teams. Learn why over 75 brands depend on IDS's team of dedicated marketers and client service professionals to deliver a strong ROI on their marketing investment. Go to idsfranchisemarketing.com for a complimentary digital audit and consultation.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Franchise Marketing Radio. I'm your host, Rob Ganley. It's good to be back, and I'm excited today. I have a guest with me. His name is Bill McPherson. He's the Vice President of Franchise Development at Alphagraphics. And we have some interesting things we're going to cover today about what's been going on with them. And they've joined forces with some other really big companies. And so we're going to talk through that. And so I want to welcome Bill to the show. Let's start with you, though, Bill. Tell me a little bit about your journey. I know you've been in the business a long time, and now you're running things at Alphagraphics as VP of Franchise Development. Tell me about that genesis. And
yeah, absolutely. And I appreciate you having me. It's good to see you again. So yeah, I've been in franchise development for quite some time, but before that was in finance and accounting. That's what I studied in college, joined a Fortune 100 company, was climbing the proverbial corporate ladder, as they say. And then like 29 years ago, just by happenstance, fell into the franchising space. Love it. Been there ever since. Been blessed to work for some great brands, retail, business to consumer, business to business. And was recruited by MBE Worldwide, our parent company, about 5.5 years ago. And I know we'll talk about some of the experiences at Alphagraphics in a minute.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, tell us MBE. Tell us what that acronym is, because I know a lot of people listening would wonder, because they'll notice it when you say it.
Yeah, mailboxes, etc.
That one I know. Yeah, we know that name. All right.
Yes.
Well, that's good stuff. So, we were talking about Alphagraphics and, obviously mailboxes, etc. Great partnership there. But tell me about Alphagraphics a little bit. I know that started all the way back in 1970. I believe that brand started then. Tell me a little bit about that, how that's evolved over the years. Now you've got this combination with, mailboxes, etc. Tell me what that looks like for the brand going forward now.
Yeah. So Alphagraphics been around over 50 years, like you say, and was one of the first quick print franchise concepts way back in the early 70s. And it's been so exciting for me, been here about 5.5 years, to learn about Alphagraphics' rich history and now be a part of its continuing success story. And what's interesting, over the years, the Alphagraphics brand has really evolved from a print shop to adding very robust sign solutions to today. We do everything from print, signs, search engine optimization for companies, complete marketing campaigns, complete brand makeovers, so a whole new brand identity. I mean, today we are the thought leaders in the marketing solution space for businesses of all types and sizes.
Yeah, one of the things that has me wondering, I come from a technology and marketing background, obviously with Franchise Marketing Radio, right? But you guys really have evolved. I mean, when you think about print and signs, and now you've got the whole world of digital screens, and you've got just the whole digital world.
Right.
And now, we're talking about things like, artificial intelligence, right? AI and things, which is, again, another extension of representing brands. And I know that'll impact you guys. Tell me a little bit about what's happening with your vision for the future, and where do you think where are the trends? What do you think clients will need the most as you go forward?
Well, I think, our business is very much business to business relationship, building trust with clients, and then providing quality solutions. And as you're talking, I'm just thinking, all of us, I always tell my team that Amazon kind of changed the whole landscape of everything that we do, right? So we can go on our devices and order something. And of course, when do people want it? They want it yesterday.
Yeah.
And so as thought leaders, as a franchisor, we need to take that same approach in providing technology solutions and customer solutions to our end users. But I think if I take a step back, I mean, one of the things that sets Alphagraphics apart in this space, I would say clearly, is our franchisees and our leadership team. So our leadership team, I mentioned my background going on 30 years, but if I combine all of our tenure, we have over 270 years combined in marketing, print, and franchising. So it's a very, very tenured senior management team. I think the other thing, and you'll know this being in the franchise space, we are very, very selective on who we award franchises to. So we do our best to recruit and award franchises to the best entrepreneurs out there. Because as you know, our franchisees are the brand, right? We don't have a single corporate unit, been franchise driven for 50 years. So our franchisees are the brand. And so we look at that as a long-term partnership, not just sell a franchise, give somebody a week of training, but rather a long-term partnership, making sure we're aligned culturally, making sure we provide the leadership, the programs, the resources to give every opportunity for our franchisees to be successful.
Yeah, no, I thought your answer was brilliant because I was sitting in a presentation not too long ago with someone who was presenting, and one of the slides was a quote from Jeff Bezos, and someone said something to him, a question to him about, where do you see things, what do you think will change? What's the most profound change that will happen in the next 10 years? And he said, we try to focus on things that we know won't change. And he gave the same exact answer that you pretty much gave, which was, we know people want their stuff fast. Yep. So, you know what I mean? Like, we know. Yeah. So technology should serve that purpose. So yes, tech might change in how we do that, but we know that people will still want that. So we got to keep focusing on how we keep doing the same things right. And, but anyway, I thought that was interesting. You kind of gave a similar answer.
Yeah.
Well, let's keep going though. Let's talk about, you mentioned, let's talk about mailboxes, et cetera, a little bit. So let's talk about what the combination of the two entities really does for the franchisee. How does that look?
Yeah, it's been amazing. I've been through 2 private equity transitions in my career. And if you're not aware, Alphagraphics was previously owned by private equity just before I joined the company and prior to mailboxes, et cetera, acquiring the brand. And to see the shift in the culture and the support since MBE acquired us is just amazing. If you think about MBE, based in Milan, father and son team that started that organization, they were franchisees themselves under MBE and UPS, and they have over 30 years experience as franchisees and over 15 years as a franchisor, and as you pointed out, with multiple brands. Plus, our CEO and president, Ryan Ferris, he's been with the brand during private equity and then through the transition, and he's created a culture that employees and franchisees are just proud to be a part of. So between the MBE acquisition and then Ryan's leadership, it's been amazing. And then you talk about the power of the alliance. Today, MBE has over 3,100 franchise locations in over 50 countries. Tremendous track record of success. Last year, over 1.2 billion with a B in annual sales.
Wow. Yeah. So in contrast, is that how much bigger is it than were you in the hundreds, Alphagraphics? I know you had a pretty big network as well.
Yeah, we're approaching 300 domestic units and growing from there.
Wow. So now you're in the 4 figures, right?
Yeah.
That's that's a big bounce. So tell me a little bit about, what does this look like for the offering then? So if I were to approach you, how does this make it a unique business opportunity for me to open a new business? Are they integrated? Are they still running independent, or would it be one integrated business model? How does that look?
No, there are 2. So domestically, we have what's called USBH Business Holdings, which is 3 brands now, 2 of which I manage here in Colorado, which is Alphagraphics and then Postnet. And so as we take candidates through the exploration process, Postnet, for example, similar to a UPS store and then Alphagraphics, 2 separate business models, 2 separate franchise agreements. One's more B2C versus B2B. Some similarities in training, but different product offerings and different customers. So yeah, they're still very distinct. But the nice thing is, because we're under the same umbrella under MBE, there are absolutely some synergies. So for example, if you have an Alphagraphics franchise, the ability to refer a customer who needs pack and ship or ship something for the holidays that we don't do, we can say, hey, there's a Postnet, 2 miles down the road. Conversely, Postnet franchisee gets a very sophisticated order for a trade show, all the print and materials and marketing, and says, well, we don't have that capability, but there's an Alphagraphics 2 miles down the road. So we're able to start enjoying these synergies between the brands and being able to fulfill the customer, whatever the customer's needs are. It just depends on which brand they're going to use.
Yeah, no, you can definitely echo the B2B side through the retail side as well.
Yeah.
Like it let people make them aware. 3,100 locations, just the physical footprint is helpful. But so that's amazing. So tell me, let's talk about like, how has franchise development evolved because of, and do you think franchising fundamentally, the process of starting a franchise, or finding a franchise or finding the right franchise, how much has it evolved over the years? Like with technology, with the expansion of brands, because you've been doing it forever. So like what is different about it for you in your role now than maybe 20 years ago when you were doing it?
I think you just called me old, but I'm not sure.
No, you're not that old. You're just experienced. You're just really good at what you do.
Seasoned.
Seasoned.
Well, I think, it has changed a lot, right? But I mean, the blocking and tackling is still very similar, right? So how we get the leads maybe and the use of technology and the way we can serve up information, that absolutely continues to change. And we want to make sure we're proactive and thought leaders in the industry by use of technology. However, nobody is going to invest $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 and quit their corporate job unless we build the relationship with them, we build trust, we have good validation with our owners. So it's still people. Okay. So you want to leverage technology, but you absolutely have to make sure we have the relationship side of it, people. In fact, one of our mantras for MBE worldwide is called People Possible across all of our brands. And I think that speaks volumes. But one of the challenges today, I know you can appreciate this coming out of the pandemic, is it's a daunting environment for a potential entrepreneur. People are scared about the economy, world events, how am I going to get funding? Can't turn on the news for 5 minutes and not see something depressing. It's hard. But if you find the right business segment, the right franchisor to partner with, then there's great opportunity. I'll give you an example. Alphagraphics, at the apex of the pandemic, had a record year in 2022 as far as average unit gross sales system-wide across the United States. So in our 52-year history, we had the highest average unit volume, and our average unit volume today is $1.3 million per location, and we did that during the pandemic. So I think if you align with the right franchise that has the support, that has the thought leadership, then that leadership and that experience can pivot and provide opportunities to their franchisees.
Yeah. So you said it several times in our conversation that the people are critical, like the network from the time you recruit all the way through, making them a rock star that maybe sells their business someday. And so tell me a little bit about, just at the ground level, like, are there some stories, like a lot of the brands we talk to, obviously, this is a local business, right?
Yeah.
And there's a couple of different ones. You have a B2B focused one, you have B2C, but is there a story you want to share about one of the franchisees and just, maybe they've gone above and beyond, maybe they're a top performer, maybe they did something in the community that was unique. I know a lot of things, because franchising to me isn't just about the American dream, which is partly, hey, being in business for yourself but not by yourself, giving people a real chance to do that.
Yeah.
Because it's real hard to do without a franchise. But then, really from that, what ultimately do you think is, I don't know, is there some stories that would reflect how the brand impacts the local community? Because I feel like franchise brands do that. They impact local communities, all the brands, right?
Yeah.
In some way, and that's a form of marketing. But tell me a little, if there's a story or way to encapsulate how a franchisee helps the community, but by doing so, it's helping him thrive as a marketer and as a business.
Yeah. So two things, there's so many within our brands. I would say two things come to mind. One, a campaign that we started 2 or 3 years ago. We got a phenomenal vice president of marketing Stephanie Wood, and during the pandemic, with the support of our parent company MBE, we started doing what's called brand makeover contests and giveaways, and that's morphed into today anywhere from 10 to 25, 30,000, $40,000 complete brand makeovers. And so there's a whole contest with hundreds of nominees all over the United States, vying for, hey, I'm a small business in the community, and my brand needs a refresh, or got hammered through the pandemic or what have you. And then all of our franchisees who brought in the nominations, we vote, and then it goes to the executive team. We come up with anywhere from 2 to 3 to 4 winners each year. And we're doing that as we speak right now, where I think we just announced the second of our 4 winners between now and January of next year. And that impact that we do for these local owners, and we get tons of camera footage and so forth. It's all over social media to see the winners, small business owners, mom and pops, and how it's transformed their business. And we see sales doubling and tripling, and people coming into the business didn't even know it was the same business because it has all brand new marketing and window graphics, and if it's a restaurant, menus and everything, complete brand makeover. So all of our franchisees have an opportunity to affect their local communities through that program and contest. But one of the things that also comes to mind is during the pandemic, we've got an owner in Dallas, Fort Worth, sweetest lady, Sherry Perry. And Sherry's been with us a long time, one of our most tenured owners, and a great operator. But like everyone else, her business was impacted during the pandemic. And she worked with Alphagraphics headquarters on some very outside the box creative solutions for her clients. We supported her, went above and beyond, both her as a franchisee and us as a franchisor. And she had, I believe, I'm pretty accurate in this, she's been around over 30 years. She had record sales in 2022 because of that and success story and working with the franchisor. And I mean, it couldn't happen to a nicer person than Sherry.
I know. I love it. No, I really love the makeover. That's what I mean. Like every time I ask that question, I get that. And it's like so cool. Like to be able to help your local town, like a handful of local businesses, and it helps you, it helps them. And it's just, it's very local focused. And that's what I love about franchising, is that we have such reach. It is a big, but it's a lot of big and a lot of small, right? Yeah. And but it's always good stories, because that's a great way to market a local business, is to help the community. So it's a good win-win. I love that story. So people that might be interested in starting a business, I always like to wrap the show up by asking guys like you who do this, like know this. I mean, you know franchise, you know business models, you know business, right? You started in accounting and finance, so you know this stuff. What is there something, like if it was your son or it was not that you have a son, I don't know if you do, but if it was someone close to you that was asking, hey, I really need your advice, I'm thinking about starting a business, I don't know what to do. You think franchising, it makes sense? I mean, how do you help someone like that? What do you tell them?
Well, I'm going to answer it 2 ways. And one, since you mentioned son, yes, I've got 2 sons, one in Texas and one here with us in Colorado. And actually the youngest one, we're, as we speak, and have been for the last year coming out of COVID, considering investing with him in a franchise. So giving him some guidance, right, because of my experience, and then some funding for him to be a franchisee. So we're very seriously looking at that. So that's a resounding yes. I would absolutely encourage to go the franchise route versus not. But then also, I think, and you make a good point. I often, I'll tell my wife, when we're talking to a potential candidate, or my team is, I always try to tell my team, if you're sitting at the dinner table with this candidate and they're a relative of yours, what would you tell them about Alphagraphics? Would you strongly endorse it? Would you say, walk, don't run, don't put your money in? Because if you don't believe in the franchise and the support and so forth, pretend like it's a relative. And what would you tell them? And so, I'm very proud, and we're very fortunate to have our teams be able to do that because of the phenomenal support we do provide. 52 years of history, the leadership team. I would say advice to a candidate, make sure that you align with the culture of the organization so that you can embrace all the support and tools that are available. That's why you join a franchise. In our particular case, like you mentioned, make sure you want to be involved in the community. This is not a business where you get a great location and they will come, like a gas station, right? You have to be involved in the community. This is based on relationships. And I think Even though you join a franchise, this, Rob, you still have to work hard. I mean, just because you join a franchise doesn't mean you're going to be successful. So telling somebody that's looking to do this, okay, find the right franchise, but be willing to work hard. If you do that and you have the right franchise, that's why franchising is so successful.
Yeah, I think I hear more times than not that it's people that struggle with following a path, at least a framework. Yeah. So, because I look at it like being that I was the guy that decided because it was really the internet that did it, because it was like, I could just play on the internet and start businesses, right? So I couldn't stop doing it. Although I became a franchise consultant and learned how to share franchise opportunities with folks. That's as far as I got. I never was a franchisee, and I started businesses without that benefit. And I can tell you, it's painful. There's just too many details, too many things you're not going to be good at. What a franchise does is, if you're not good at something, you can pick and choose your strengths, but it makes sure that you have enough. It's all evened out that you have. Honestly, if you work hard, you will succeed. If you follow the path. I mean, if you don't do anything the way you're supposed to, then you might work hard and not succeed.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, when we finish up our due diligence at a discovery day, as we call it, one of the things I tell people in closing is, if you work hard and follow a successful model, which Alphagraphics is, then in 30 years in my career, I can probably count on one hand where it has not been successful. So to your point, it will be. And on those rare occasions, it's because something significantly happened to the franchisee, death in the family, divorce, something like that. But minus that, if you work hard and you're following the franchise proven model, that's why franchising is so successful in the United States, worldwide.
Yeah, I wonder, I think, the go forward view is a lot more franchises.
Yep.
A lot more of that model, because it works, and it's better for everybody. It's better for the consumers too. I love some local businesses, don't get me wrong, but a lot of times they're the new franchisors. They're the ones, they're so cool. Everybody's like, man, I love this place. Like, they drive out of their way to go, or whatever. But they're the ones that they're telling the owner, you should franchise your business. But no matter what, it's just the best way for people, I think, to contribute to the world. It's a great way to hire people around you. It's
creating jobs.
Creating jobs. Yeah. And you might be a small business, but a lot of franchisees, they have nice little teams, and it's a big impact, right? So I don't know. I see a lot of turnover in the regular world, and it's difficult and it's hard, and we know it, me and you, because we know the check boxes that need to be there. I know when I go and I get bad customer service, I'm like, gosh, why don't they it's just simple stuff, right? Why can't you just do it? And then you go to a franchise brand and it's like, check, check, check. And sometimes it's a clinic going, I learned how they're marketing to me or how they're serving me. I'm like, yeah, that's a good idea. That I should do.
Well, it's really interesting you say that, because even within the franchise community, I know we've all seen this as consumers. I won't mention the brand name, but it's a QSR fast food concept that was in Texas when we lived there, and also the same brand was in Colorado. And I had great experience on the many times that my family visited that location in Texas, same brand, and the one here in Colorado was awful. And that was because the franchise operator was not following the model, not following the systems. So even within franchising, the reason you join it is because it's got a proven model. Follow the proven model.
Yeah. So critical. And again, that's why that's why you're successful, because you're serving the customer with something consistent, something predictable.
Yes.
And it's funny, when I talk to home services brands a lot, they're just like, it's funny. It's like all the independents, it's like they just don't call people back, or they don't show up, or it's like, isn't that the basic, the basic thing you're supposed to do as a business owner? But franchising, they take it to another level. They check all the boxes that you may or may not be good at, and make sure that you will be good enough. And that's what I'm passionate about. And I love being on the side where I help franchisors do that really good. And tech helps with that. That's where I try to help. But this has been a great conversation. Before we do go, what's the best way to get access to you or to learn more about the opportunity?
Alphagraphicsfranchise.com. That's our franchise site. And then we've got a dedicated team there, and you can book appointments and get a lot of great information, and we'll get them on their way to learning more about the brand.
All right. Well, that was insightful. Good stuff, Bill. I appreciate your time today. Hope to have you back because it sounds like there's a whole lot ahead of you, and a lot of good stuff going on there. So hope to hear from you again soon. And I want to thank the audience for tuning in. And check this out. This is a world-class organization. If you're like me and you like technology and you like marketing, you like working with businesses, this seems like an awesome model. So it's got my interest, and it's all good. I feel this way every time I do an interview. I feel like I want to buy a franchise or something. But anyway, I encourage everybody to reach out. Thanks again for tuning in, and bye for now.
Thanks, Rob.
You got it, Bill.